Hey everyone, it's your boy Matt here. It is the 23rd of August 2025 and this is Taco Admin. So, orders of business today. Today we're going through the hierarchical structure for Taco, and we're also going through the some things I just need to get done. So, the structure for Taco. I have been disappointed in the performance of our senior leadership team. I really feel like I have been exploited, and I don't think I've been very well cared for. I do think that what we've been able to achieve with public attention and the policies that we've been able to promote have been useful. So I'm very happy with these things. I am concerned that I've been very badly shafted. And because of this, the way that authority goes through this project, which ultimately comes through me as the person who's appointing people and provides the framework for the symbolic order and the order of authority for the project, I'm redelegating. So there's going to be 3 layers of membership for Taco. So at the top, we have our captains. These people are able to give orders, they're able to appoint people to positions within the project, and they are able to make decisions. I want them to make routine meetings at least fortnightly, and I want them to be in constant communication with each other by email. Now, below this, we have liaisons to Taco. A liaison to Taco is someone that any of the captains are required to take emails and communications from, and they must acknowledge these communications, and they must participate with these people. If they find that this right is being exploited, then of course there's going to be some leeway with this. But the expectation is that when these people contact one of the captains, that they reply back to them. Below this, we have contributors. Now, contributors are persons who are making contributions to Taco which are officially acknowledged as part of the project. Now, these contributions don't need to agree with our message. They're people that we interact and talk with. They're people who are a part of the wider Taco community. By far, this is the largest group of people that we have in the project. There is, of course, boundaries to what we promote. I'm held in a vulnerable situation, so it's difficult for me to deal with things which adversely affect my health. Okay, so I don't want to be abused, but I am very happy to hear contrarian ideas. So those are the 3 layers. I will go back to the captain thing. The captains are able to delegate to create additional structures of authority within the project. But I'm talking about what is the core of the project, the different political actions that we are taking are going to require delegations and organisation outside of this system. So for example, I've written Lewis Rossman, who's a very prominent person within our movement, who's heavily ingrained with the right to repair as a contributor. That's the lowest level of authority, but he also has a very large organisation in his own right that he runs for promoting the right to repair. And his contributions to the overall Taco project have been phenomenal. If contributors at that kind of level as Lewis, they're so big and provide so much service that they may as well also be seen as liaisons to Taco. Well, and in some ways are captains, and he is in a way a captain in his own right. The reason why I'm using these 3 layers of authority very sparingly is because I don't want to have something unruly which I can't track and understand. So when someone is a contributor and not a liaison or a captain, it does not mean that they're not a significant part of the project. Hank Green, for example, I would describe as a contributor, but he has been such a big part of the project as well, that he should really be treated as a liaison. I'm trying to keep a simple structure so this doesn't get unruly. So from top to bottom, our captains are Brian Klaas, Robert Sapolsky, and Tony Mason. So Brian Klaas, he is a political scientist. He wrote a fantastic book called Corruptible. He studied what bad leadership looks like in the forms of personality traits, and he has a good understanding of what makes political movements unravel and how to promote political movements. Robert Sapolsky is a behavioral anthropologist and neuroscientist. I'm not exactly sure what title he goes by these days. The guy's a genius. He can call himself whatever he wants, really. So he is. I respect this guy. Him and I have similar skill sets. He is much more further ahead in his career than I am. And if there's going to be someone who understands my human nature, and this project does involve the study of me and the study of the people in the project, Robert Sapolsky is going to be the guy who's going to be able to understand it. He is able to study culture. He's able to study humans at multiple levels of analysis, and that's very rare. He understands us as a mammal. He understands us neurologically. He understands us in a cultural context. And on top of that, he just demonstrates a phenomenal groundedness, a lack of arrogance. And if I'm going to give a person formal authority and know that they're going to make decisions based on evidence and based on systematic analysis, Robert Sapolsky is going to be that person. He's the poster child for that. He is a phenomenal scientist. In addition to this, we have Tony Mason. So Tony Mason is the former head of school for psychology at the University of Southern Queensland. He is a work psychologist, and he's brilliant. So what I need from Tony Mason is the systematic study of Tac0, and a list of variables. And I need him to make sure that this is kept as a tool of social science and is something which is systematically studied so we get useful data from it, so we're able to run it most effectively. Now, in addition to this, there's someone who I'm going to promote as a soft captain. And this person is responsible for, and I've listed them as a liaison, but they're a very important liaison. And this is my auntie, Christine East. Now, Christine East is a professor of midwifery at Deakin University in Australia. She's best seen as a health scientist. She studies different hospitals in Australia, the protocols. She studies a whole lot of different things relating to healthcare. She's a family member of mine. She has an understanding of some of the politics in our family. I have a lot of admiration for Christine. I am in my family sort of like a bit of not just such a much a black sheep, but I'm a statistical outlier. I'm a lot more free, I'm a lot more wild, and I have lived life far more than the other people in my family. Christine is a exceedingly conscientious and very much in a box kind of person. We're not alike in this particular regard, but understand that there's a lot of mutual respect between the two of us. And I need her to kind of promote my well-being. Now, this brings us to the next layer of Tac0, and this is liaison to Tac0. So, liaisons to Tac0 are Greg Jericho, Slavoj Žižek, Phil Griffith, and Christine East, with Christine really being a person who needs to be included with all decision-making in the project so that there's an advocacy for my well-being. So, Greg Jericho is the director of the Australia Institute. This is a very important think tank in Australia. He's a senior economist. He is a very grounded person, and more than that, just a decent person. He is so obviously oriented towards the care of the community, and he promotes through his think tank really grounded and evidence-based policy. Now, our overall political movement is largely designed to keep democracy functioning. Greg Jericho is left-wing. I am left-wing. When I say left-wing, my economic history professor Phil Griffith is probably shivering in his seat, but because ideologically left-wing is not a good category. Like it's not a specific way of describing a set of beliefs. It is useful in describing how large political systems function. People do tend to clump between a conservative and more progressive orientation when we look at political parties in Australia, just in the grand scheme of things and around the world. But returning to my point, we're really here to promote human rights, and we're here to make sure that this system of democracy continues to function. What we need Greg for, though, is that he understands the economic systems, he understands the laws regarding taxation in Australia, he understands the politics in Australia, and he's going to be able to give us advice to how to best steer our project. With this, I still want policies promoted through Tac0. I want the category of policy I want promoted is ethical altruism. This is data-driven policy. When Greg talks about climate change, when Greg talks about the taxation models in Australia, he's talking about evidence-based policy. And something that a point which Greg has made very clearly is that there is a tendency in politics for things to come around the sensible centre, where everyone compromises, but in reality, that compromise actually creates policy which doesn't achieve anything, but it just seems sensible. Except when the policy that is useful is the stuff which is data-driven. And data-driven policy is often quite radical because the social structures that we have in society are not very rational a lot of the time, and they lead to some pretty poor outcomes. So Greg and I are both in agreement on this point, but there needs to be a balancing act with the project so that we maintain public attention to both the conservative side of Australia and the world, and the more liberal side of Australia and the world. We need to ensure that the system of responsible government continues to function. That's the point. The will of the people down the bottom needs to end up with results at the top. We need to have a representative democracy. And in countries like the United States, they do not have a representative democracy. Anyway, getting back to the point, other liaisons are Slavoj Žižek. Slavoj Žižek was previously had a role as a person who was meant to create mediation when there were conflicts between the captains. We now have 3 captains. They can vote on things, as well as my auntie, who's there to approve and disapprove of policy of things which might adversely affect me. So Slavoj Žižek understands a lot of the theory from this project regarding symbolic orders and these things are built on Slavoj Žižek's work. So Žižek is there to provide guidance regarding the theory in the project. He's also there to provide input for the direction of it. I respect Žižek quite a lot. With these things, when I associate myself with political movements, there's always the danger that the political movement and ideas from a movement get put in rather than my own beliefs. So the beliefs of a group rather than my specific nuanced versions of these things. So I am not a disciple of Žižek, I am a supporter of Žižek. And I'm very happy for his input to be in the project. There's also Phil Griffith, who is my economic history lecturer from the University of Southern Queensland. His role was to provide input to Tony Mason and the wider project on commodification of the project. So that's Order of Business 1, which is our formal leadership structure for Tac0. Part 2 is that I need all of my YouTube videos recorded and put on VHS tapes. So I'm going to request that Lewis Rossman or someone in his community does that work and provides evidence for having done that. The reason why my YouTube videos need to be downloaded and put on VHS tapes is that there's been significant interference in my project from the Signals Directorate because I've had association with the cyber warfare community in Canberra and the wider defence community. And put plainly, these guys are autistic fuckwits and they would just fuck with me just because they can. They might come up with some strategic reason why they think it's a good idea, but truly, these guys are cunts. So I've had issues with my videos being edited in the past after they've been uploaded. What I want is that I want them to be put on a low-tech format for posterity so we have something to compare them to in case they are edited in the future. I have issues with transferring files from my phone to my computer. I don't know if my computer was interfered with, but I can't transfer files. And that's causing me issues. And alternatively to that, I'm having issues uploading them to Google Drive, and I don't want to have them on a cloud server where they can be interfered with more easily. I want them in a physical format. So either way, that's Tac0 admin. I hope everyone has a lovely day. Yep, let's keep this project going. Have a good one.